Okay, so I guess I'm just gonna cut it open, I guess. I don't feel too bad about cutting the tape. I'm keeping the box anyway, because I keep all my boxes, because I'm a psycho, I guess. Keeping the tape, I'm not too terribly worried about it. Oh, there it is. There it is, dude. They come with a little handle so you can just grab the thing and pull it out. Oh, man. So this here is the features that it has for right now. They're apparently probably going to be adding more features over time, is what I've heard anyway. Ooh. So I'm just gonna crack into it then. Operation instructions, we're gonna need that. And there it is, and it is, ooh, Jesus. That is, it actually is comically small. Wow, okay. I mean, I knew it was smaller, I didn't expect it to be this small, this comically small. Oh, Lord. Okay, give me just a second. I had to take my watch off. Don't know how it would fit with it on. Give me a second. That felt so good. Oh, Jesus. Oh, my God. I'm trying to figure out how you're meant to put it on. Putting it on appears to be somewhat of an issue for me. I mean, it's not that I'm like planning on wearing it a whole lot, but I would like to know if it fits or not anyway. The paint that I know is temporary does not appear to be coming off at all. And you are supposed to... You are supposed to charge it before you turn it on. I don't know if I'm going to do that. I don't really feel like doing that right now. But it should have some kind of charge in it. I may have told a lie. It was to my knowledge that it did indeed come with some kind of charge to it, but then again, I'm getting mine much later than most people. I guess it doesn't have a charge to it right now, so what better time to show this off then? So I guess that, yeah. So it goes in there, and then it sits just like that. I really wish there was a better way for me to do it. I kind of just got to set it up like this. So, I guess what we're going to do is we're just going to plug it in. Oh, this other light. Oh my God, it just started turning on. It just turned right on when I did that. Yep, see, absolutely no charge to it. So, I believe this power bar here, I don't believe it's working. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to charge it up for like 30-40 minutes and we're going to see what happens. What? Huh? Fuck! This is horse shit. You have got to be kidding me. Hi, you're probably wondering what the fuck happened. I'll tell you what happened. So the date is currently November 30th, 2024. I received this, the Pip-Boy 3000 Mark V from the Wand Company, based on the one from the TV show, the Fallout TV show, on November 26, 2024. That was last Tuesday. What you just saw was me opening it probably about an hour after I'd gotten it. I came home from work, the mail ran at 7 p.m. for some reason, and I opened it. And it worked fine until I went to update it. See, something you're probably aware of by now if you've been following news about the Pip-Boy 3000 Mark V is that the wand company implemented a feature where you should be able to update it in the future if they ever, decide to put out updates. So they did have a day one update that was supposed to add things like a CRT boot effect. So if I were to turn it off, it would look like a CRT, improved radio functionality, new alarm sound options, things like that. So that's what I tried to install. And when I went to go install it, it installed completely fine, and it said, okay, you can now reboot the Pip-Boy, and it will work. That's not what happened. I don't know if I did something wrong, or if the tool did something wrong, or what, but I put in my name, and I hit the upgrade button. I waited about, I don't know, like 10 minutes or something. It wasn't very long, but I waited, and I waited, and I waited, and finally it said it was done. I rebooted. And when I rebooted, as you just saw, everything stopped working. There were a bunch of files, so things like the vertical and horizontal scroll wheel sounds, they were just completely wiped. There were some UI animations, there were some video files completely wiped. They just weren't there, and in their place was this file that I don't have a screenshot to show you, but it just said file, and the name was just blank, and there was no space associated with it. I assume that it made that file by accident because, well, it was clearly not supposed to be there. I spent a couple of days going back and forth trying to figure out why that happened. You can take this apart, and there is just an SD card underneath the back plate where the foam cuff is. So I went to that, and I opened it, and that's how I found that all that stuff was missing. However, I didn't know if that file that I just mentioned was supposed to be there. The Pip-Boy, for what it's worth, was technically working. Like, if I turned it to the clock dial and I booted it up, the clock would work fine. It's just that if I hit any button on it at all, it would completely seize up and I'd have to use the reset pin. So, after a couple of days of trying to troubleshoot that myself, I finally decided to contact the wand company. I don't know why I just said I waited a couple of days. I contacted the wand company the day that happened, and then I didn't get a response until yesterday on Friday, which I don't know what day it is for them in the UK, but I didn't get it till Friday. So I opened it up. They had sent me a link to a website that was supposed to re-add a bunch of the files that had gotten corrupted, and it didn't work. It just kept returning the error message of something so-and-so was too long or too big. Now, if you'll remember, that file that I mentioned was also too big. And I know that because when I tried to delete that file, it said it was too big or its name was too long or something like that. I don't quite know what the issue was, but I'm pretty positive it was just a corrupted file that it was meant to replace, and it just never replaced, and I don't know. Basically, firmware fucked. So yesterday, right before work, I tried to open the program and I tried to update it and it did not work. I opened the SD card, I did a couple things on there, then tried it again, it did not work. So finally, I sent an email saying, unfortunately, the thing you sent me still did not fix the issue, and I went to work. But I thought about it all day, and one of the things that I had received in that build-up is Darian over in the Pip-Boy building club thing that I'm in. It's a Discord server. He had found out that the program was basically pulling files from like the web server from the wand company, and was able to basically tell me, hey, if you just type in the URL for the wand company's website and then the file that you're trying to download, if you know the name of the file, it will just let you download the file directly. It doesn't have to go through that upgrade tool. And good thing for me, the updating tool that Richard from the wand company actually did send to me actually showed me the exact name of the file that I was trying to get. And lo and behold, it was a full backup of the SD card, which is awesome. I had tried to use that similar method in order to gain the files for the firmware update, but the issue is that this first firmware, at least, was not, overhauling anything. It was just adding new files and updating the firmware to a new version. So in essence, it wasn't really, going to fix my issue, because my issue was that a lot of those files were just now missing. And I did make a couple of test WAV files and found out that yes, you can just put files of the same name onto that SD card and it'll play them whenever it's supposed to be played, whether it's the right WAV file or not. Which means, in theory, you could put some shit like All-Star from Smash Mouth on there and name it the file, and every time that sound plays, it's going to play All-Star by Smash Mouth. I'm not going to do that, but you could do that if you wanted to. So using Darian's help, I was able to download the backup of that SD card, get all the files, and put them on there. Now, when I did that, the Pip-Boy did start to work. All the sounds played exactly as they were supposed to. The upgrade tool still did not work. The upgrade tool didn't work, again, because it was checking files before it updated and found that one of the files' name was just too long or the file was just too big in order for it to be able to properly check. So what I ended up having to do was completely reformat that SD card, wiped the whole thing, reformat it as FAT16, and just place those files on there. And then from that point forward, it was working, and I was able to go through to the official upgrade website and finally upgrade it the way that I was supposed to. Now, I want to make something very, very clear, because I know what the response is going to be when I tell that kind of story. Over the last few years, Fallout and Bethesda especially have been the victims of people saying they're bad or their quality control is iffy or whatever, and you know what? That's fair. If you believe that, that's entirely up to you, and I'm not one to take that away from you. But I want to reiterate, I did receive a functioning product. The video footage speaks for itself. Out of the box, it did work. After I plugged it in and charged it, it worked. It just did what it was supposed to. None of this happened until I went to update it, which could be explained by any number of factors. For one, I was using this cable. This is not the cable that came with it. It is a USB-C cable, but upon looking into the issue, I have found out that USB-C cables are not made equally. So even though, Right to Repair and things like that have fought in order to be able to use the same cable for just about everything, not every cable is made equal. So this one is supposedly going to transmit data and power, but maybe it doesn't transmit it at the right rate or something like that, and so that's what caused it. I would advise, if you're going to do this update, use the cable that came with it, or get the specs of that cable and then find one that can match it. I don't know why that would affect it, but, it's just one of the things that could have been a reason. On top of that, the wand company really was helpful. They did respond to me twice in the same day, and on that note, when I gave them the update on what it was I had done in order to finally fix the issue myself, they did give me some things that are pretty promising for the future. For one, they did express remorse that there was no easy way to reformat or fix the SD card at launch of the product. It was something that they apparently had been working on but did not get working in time for it. This was such a freak issue that I could not find a single instance anywhere on the internet of anything like this happening that wasn't the direct result of somebody tinkering with the device in a way that was not sanctioned. The second thing that they told me is that officially, as of yesterday apparently, they did get the web-based SD card reformat tool working, and so I guess that should be going live sometime soon. So if this problem does become more widespread, or it does happen to more people, you should be able to fix the issue completely fine, independently of having to contact the wand company at all. But they are working on a fix and implementations in order to make recovering from these kinds of issues easier for the average person. So that way you don't end up having to wait 2 or 3 days to use the brand new thing that you just got because the update tool borked it on day 1. Again, an issue that I haven't seen anyone else come across. For what it's worth, the device itself is entirely moddable completely out of the box. You can open it, you can access the SD card, and you can just modify everything that's on it out of the box if you want to. I also believe that if you're afraid of something like this happening, before you try to update it, have a backup somewhere of the SD card. You know, just in case. Anyway, with all that out of the way, let's talk about the actual device itself. For starters, I know you saw in the video just now that I did try to put it on when I first got it, but I was convinced that the thing simply wouldn't fit on my wrist, or it was too complicated to latch or whatever, but I was doing it wrong, and I apologize for that. But anyway, it fits. With the padding on and everything anyway, it fits. I can move my arm. It doesn't pinch. It doesn't feel uncomfortable, and everything is easily accessible. I was a little worried about this knob on the side not being accessible since, it's on your left arm and you have to use it with your right hand, but because of its positioning anyway, you can safely use it without covering the screen too much. And that I really, really like. Now, this Pip-Boy is based off of the TV show, but the one in the TV show is actually based more on the Fallout 4 version. It's just that this is really, really small. In fact, this is the Fallout 4 Collector's Edition Pip-Boy. Getting a side profile view here, looking at it, yeah, you can tell that this is considerably bigger than this. And this is much easier to wear if you were going to wear it to a convention or whatever. It's much easier to wear than this. Not that this is particularly hard to wear. It's just that it's really, really big and it bumps into things a lot. This, I could definitely say, not just because I have worn it around my house, okay? You can navigate much easier with this on. It's super, super comfortable. It breathes, and it, overall, the build quality is very good. Secondly, going back to USB-C for a second, this is really, really neat. No Pip-Boy, not even the Bluetooth edition that came out, has ever featured this cable as removable, even though we do know that in the games it is supposed to be removable. But it's usually not, because there's usually no function to it. But here, it does come out, and it is the charging port. It's also how you would connect it to a computer. Speaking of connecting to a computer, if you move this dial to the inventory tab, you can connect this to a computer, and you're given a plethora of very, very basic control options. So things like enter and tab, escape, and like arrow keys. So fun fact, those are almost all of the methods that you would need in order to control the Pip-Boy in like Fallout 4, for instance. Tab, arrow keys, enter. That's everything you would really need in order to actually use the Pip-Boy in Fallout 4. So if you really, really wanted to, you could connect this to a computer and have an actual in-game analog. So not quite the same thing as like the phone where you can control everything there, but you could connect this and have an actual physical device that you interact with on screen if you so choose. Another thing that I really, really like about this Pip-Boy is that it also functions as a flashlight. If you press that button there, it'll turn completely green, and it's actually very, very reasonable as a flashlight. And I can confirm that the display brightness does not actually impact the flashlight at all. There is an option on the screen here to go down to, select flashlight here, but it's just far more convenient to be able to hit a button and turn the flashlight on or off. So for instance, apparel will just tell you, we provide all of your clothing in your vault. Or aid will tell you, you've been assigned to vault 33 or 32 or whatever. So I'm in 33, apparently. There's a maintenance menu, which brings me back to the issues that I was having. After updating and fixing this Pip-Boy, the 12-hour format no longer works. I don't really know why. If I move down to the 12-hour format, you're supposed to hit this button to change it, but it doesn't actually change. It just stays on 24-hour. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. Maybe it's just borked right now. I don't really know. But everyone I've spoken to says that theirs is working, which sucks because I prefer 12 hours, but I can read military time or 24-hour format, whatever you would like to call it. The screen is also where you would set your date and time manually, but connecting it to the computer will do that for you. You can also change the display brightness in this menu if you so please, and also it has the ability to set the alarm here, so you'll set the time and the alarm sound that you want. Something that they did not cover a lot in the marketing for this thing, when the alarm goes off, it's going to turn on the radio, for instance. I had the radio set, so it turned on the radio, but also the screen goes full bright. So it just cranks up the brightness of the screen. No matter what the brightness is set to, it cranks it. Which makes sense, I guess, if you would like to be woken up. I did not try it with it in sleep mode, so if you hit the power button, it goes into sleep mode. I did not do that. I actually had it on all night. And speaking of that, clock mode. I had it set to clock mode, so that way I could look over at the, nightside table or whatever and see what time it was. And that was really exciting, because that was the thing that I was most interested about, was how it would actually function as an alarm. It's not that much different than a clock, I suppose, but, every clock has its own quirks or things like that, and most of us, I'm sure, probably use, like, our cell phone or, like, a smartwatch or something for an alarm anymore. So having an actual alarm clock, it's something new to me. And speaking of alarm clocks, something I just remembered is that I don't know if it's different with the alarm sounds. That's something I still haven't tested. But with the radio, at least, when I turn the alarm off, the radio does not turn off. So it just keeps playing the radio. That prompted me to actually take it off its stand and, like, carry it with me to the office here and just listen to the radio, which is not something that I really ever do. The radio works about as well as I would expect an FM radio to work. You turn it on, you can actually move over to the radio tab and hit this button on the FM radio selection and turn it on or off. But if you're not on this tab, actually, something that upgrade that I was talking about actually implemented is if you're on this menu, for instance, and you just want to listen to the radio, if you press it, it'll turn the radio on. And in order to tune the radio, small gripe about that is that in order to tune it, you would have to move this knob. Now, this knob works more like a button than like an actual knob. So you turn it all the way up or you turn it all the way down, and it scans for the nearest radio station on the frequency, I guess. And it stops at that station. So if there's a specific station that you want to listen to, but you're not currently in range of it for the Pip-Boy to find it, it's simply not going to stop on that station. I would really like to see in the future a way to manually choose the station, even if the Pip-Boy can't find that station or it's, not very loud or whatever. I would still like the option to go there and see how it sounds, because I still might be fine with a little bit of static on the radio. The map does not function, it just plays screens from the TV show, which is to be expected. Anyway, controlling it, this is your volume knob. If you turn this all the way up or all the way down, you'll change the volume of the Pip-Boy. And the FM radio actually does have its own volume setting in that menu, but this knob will impact how loud the overall system volume is. So if you want to turn this all the way up and have the system sounds be the only thing you can hear, and the FM radio, for instance, is quieter than all of that, you can. It's just neat functionality that was not at all required, but it's very interesting. If you were to open the Pip-Boy up, let's say you want to put it on, but you have like really big arms, like Oxhorn, for instance. Oxhorn, are you watching? I'm about to blow your little mind, okay? So this foam is in the Pip-Boy, and it is very comfortable to wear. No complaints about the foam, but if your arm, for whatever reason, is too big to fit this thing, you can just slide it out. There's no glue, there's nothing holding it in. The foam just slides out, and you can, wear it without foam. You can wear it with only one side of the foam, probably preferably the top part that goes over your forearm. It's just the most comfortable to me. You can use no foam. I mean, there are options here for if it does not fit you. They really did think about people who might be on the bigger side and, you know, just not be able to wear it. And of course, if you're making a wearable device, people are going to want to wear it at least once, I would imagine. Going back to the device, when you're done using it, you know, you want to put it up on a shelf for display, for instance. You just pull this thing here out. On the stand, there's a hook in the back that you just slide the cable into, and then it just hangs on the stand. It's really, really intuitive. I really, really like this thing. Aside from all the problems, it is a very competent device. And I'm very excited to see what they come out with in the future for it, because there is a mailing list for the future updates if you're so inclined. It's not something you have to. And I'm sure if you are following this thing, at some point you will hear about an update that you're going to want to add. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for right now. It's just a quick little video that I wanted to make about the Pip-Boy because I've been waiting a long time for this, so there's only one thing, I guess, that I have to do. And that last thing would be to sit it on the shelf with the rest of them. With all that being said, the Wand Company, keep doing what you're doing. That customer support you got there, they are top-notch. Gold standard for anybody looking to run any kind of company. With all that out of the way, I'll see you soon. It's almost Christmas, and you know what that means. Another TF2 Christmas video. You know, basically the only video I've uploaded this year that people might watch.